Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Okay,
Good afternoon, ma'am.
good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, today we are going to discuss about communication. What is communication? Purpose of communication? Communication flow? Okay, and effective communication? Different types of communication? So, these are the things we are going to discuss today. So, let's start. What is communication? The word communication originates from the Latin word communico, which means to share. Okay, so communication is sharing something, sharing thoughts, uh, sharing messages, sharing information, sharing ideas, opinions, right? So here you can see the definition of communication is written here. Communication is transfer of ideas, feelings, plans, information, messages from one person to another. And without communication we can't imagine anything, right? Because our whole life depends on communication. If we don't communicate with each other, then our life is impossible, right? So communication is very important, right? And at workplace especially, communication is very vital. You know, in an organization there are so many persons working together at different levels, right? Maybe there are some persons working, they are of higher rank, right? There are higher authorities, subordinates. So there are so many persons working together and they communicate with each other. And there are so many tasks also in an organization, like recruiting staffs, like advertising, staffing, getting feedback, planning, executing, organizing, and for all the tasks, communication is very vital. If an organization want to run their task smoothly, they have to communicate with each other, right? So communication is very important, and we will also discuss about communication flow, how the communication flows from one level to another. Okay, from higher authority to subordinates, from subordinates to higher authority, or yes, or persons of the same rank. So the communication flows, right? And communication flow is also very vital. Now, what is the purpose of professional communication? What is the need of professional communication? We will discuss in detail. The first point is advising. Okay, so suppose we are working in an organization, right? There are seniors, juniors, right? All are working together, and sometimes Juniors need some advice from superiors, right? Because seniors, not superiors. Seniors are more experienced, right? And sometimes juniors need some advice from them, and while giving some advice, they have to communicate, right? While giving advice, they have to explain how to do the work, what to do, how to do. They have to explain all the things, and for that they have to communicate. So communication skill is very important while giving advice. The next one is providing instructions and orders. Okay. While working in an organization, sometimes we have to provide some instructions and orders, instructions regarding the work, how to do the work, what are the tricks we have to follow, and how to complete the work smoothly, and giving orders also. So we need here again communication skill. Communication skill is very important again while providing instructions and orders. The person having no good communication skill cannot provide instructions and orders. They can provide, but they can't provide in an effective way, right? So the person should have communication skill. Okay. Marketing. No need to say that how much important the communication skill is regarding marketing, because the whole marketing, if an organization is relating to marketing, that is marketing company is totally dependent on communication, right? They have to communicate with the buyers, they have to sell their products, so they have to advertise, they have to give advertisement, right? And for all these things, communication is very important, right? And sometimes in a marketing company, what happen, they sometimes hire some consultants for giving suggestions, right? So if the consultants are not able to give proper suggestions, then they may be, their suggestions may be turned down. So again, communication is very important. Now persuading. Okay. Sometimes while working in an organization, persuasion is very important. Sometimes we need to persuade workers to do work. Sometimes we need to persuade the buyers also, right? Sometimes we need to persuade the colleagues also. So while persuading, communication skill is again important. Now making decisions. Okay. In order to take correct decisions, proper decisions, we need to consult with the other persons, right? Suppose a team leader has to take so many decisions, and he or she is not able to take individually a proper decision. She should or he or she should consult with the other persons in the team, right? So while taking decisions, we need to consult with others, and for these also communication is very important. Preparing advertisement. Yes, no need to explain, you all know while preparing advertisement how much important communication skill is, right? Because advertisement should be very attractive, advertisement should be based on the needs of the buyers, right? How it totally depends on how the buyers are accepting their product. So communication is very important, because they have to communicate with the buyers, right? And they have to understand the needs, and then they have to prepare advertisement. And for this process, communication skill is very important. Getting feedback. Okay. So, in a marketing company, in order to know the how the buyers are reacting to their products, that means whether the buyers like their products or not, they need some feedback, right? And for that they have to communicate with the buyers, and then they will be able to get their feedback regarding the products. And here again, communication skill is important. So there are so many points. Here we have discussed some points only, but there are lot of points, right? If you want to share any other points, you can. Okay, then we will move on to our next topic, that is communication flow. See, communication in a professional organization flows at different layers with regulates, guides and propels flow. That means communication flows from from one level to another. Like, see, here at the topmost level there is owner or president. Okay, then in the next level there are so many persons like accounting manager, marketing manager, operations manager and HR manager. These are persons of same rank, they are having the same rank. Then the subordinates like advertising supervisor, sales supervisor, note taker supervisor and copier supervisor, these are persons of same rank. Then subordinates, sales staff, note takers and copiers. Okay, so there are so many persons working together at different levels in an organization. Okay, now we will discuss how communication flows from one level to another. Okay, we can divide communication flow into three categories like downward communication, upward communication and horizontal communication. First we will discuss about horizontal communication. What is horizontal communication? Horizontal communication is when communication flows between persons of same rank. Okay, so you can see here accounting manager and marketing manager. These are two persons having the same rank, right? You can see here accounting manager and marketing manager. These are two persons of same rank. Okay, so horizontal communication is when communication flows between two persons of same rank. Then if communication is between accounting manager and marketing manager, then we can say that this is an example of horizontal communication. Okay, here again you can see it is highlighted in red color. You can see here horizontal communication. Note taker supervisor and copier supervisor. These are two persons of same rank, and if communication occurs between note taker supervisor and copier supervisor, that is persons of same rank, then we can say it is an example of horizontal communication. Okay. Now, what is upward communication? Upward communication is when communication occurs from subordinates to higher authority. Yes, from subordinates to higher authority. Like, see here, subordinate is note taker supervisor, and higher authority is operations manager, right? Then, if communication occurs between note taker supervisor to operations manager, that is subordinate to higher authority, then we can say that this is an example of upward communication. Upward, that is subordinate to higher authority, and downward, that is higher authority to subordinates. Okay, let me give you an example of downward communication. Okay, you can see here owner, president and marketing manager. Here higher authority is owner, president and subordinate is marketing manager. So if communication occurs between owner, president and marketing manager, that is higher authority and subordinate, higher authority to subordinate, then we can say that this is an example of downward communication. Okay, let me tell you again. Horizontal communication is between persons of same rank. Upward communication is from subordinates to higher authority. Downward communication is from higher authority to subordinates. Clear? All of you, do you have any doubt?
Ma'am, please explain that upward communication once.
Which one? Subham, which one you need?
Upward communication, ma'am.
Upward, okay.
With example.
Okay. Upward communication occurs when communication flows from subordinates to higher authorities. Okay, let me give you a real life example. Suppose our college is an organization, okay, and our respected principal sir is higher authority and we all are subordinates. So suppose communication is between staff and our principal sir, then staff, that is subordinates to higher authority, that is principal sir, right? So this is an example of upward communication from subordinates to higher authority, from staff to principal sir. Now clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And downward communication, if communication flows from principal sir to all the staffs, then this is an example of downward communication. And horizontal communication, if communication is among all the staffs, suppose, or between two staffs, so this is an example of horizontal communication, because communication between persons of same rank, all the staffs are same, right? So we can say this is an example of horizontal communication. So do you have any doubts regarding horizontal communication, upward communication and downward communication? You can ask.
Now it's clear, ma'am.
Okay. Now we will discuss about Principles of communication. We communicate with each other at our workplace, with our friends, with our colleagues, or with our relatives or family. We communicate with each other, right? But when we communicate formally or officially, then we need to remember some points, vital points, and those points we will discuss in detail. There are some things we need to remember when we converse officially with some other person. Okay, the first point is concrete. These are very common, you all know, but I will explain a little and you can ask me if there is any doubt. Now, concrete. When you communicate with some other person, you have some purpose, right? You have some message that you want to convey, and that's why you communicate. That's why you converse with some other person. So your message that you want to convey should be concrete. Don't create confusions. You should have a clear concept about what you want to convey, and your message should be concrete. Okay. Now, coherent. Yes. So, when you communicate with some other person, you should be logical. Whatever you are saying, your point should be logical enough. Okay? And there should be a good connection with the main topic, what you were saying, and the communication flow, that means the flow of speaking should be consistent enough. So, this is coherent. Concrete, coherent, and next one is clarity. Okay, as I have told that when you communicate with some other person, you have some purpose, right? So the purpose of your message should be clear. Don't make the person you are communicate with, don't make the other person confused, right? The purpose of your message should be clear enough so that the other person can understand you easily. The next point is consistency. Okay. So, when you communicate with some other person at your workplace, always try to use short sentences and short words. When you communicate officially, there is no time for repetition. So, everyone is busy, right? So, try to use some short sentences and short words. You have some purpose when you communicate, and just the aim of your aim should be to fulfill that purpose, to convey that message that you want to convey. So, there is no time for repetition. Always try to use short sentences, short words, and try to achieve your goal. Okay. Now, completeness. When you speak, your sentences should be complete, right? Never leave your sentences incomplete while communicate with some other person, make sure that you communicate completely. Okay, and whatever you need to inform the other person, make sure that you have completed to convey the message. Okay, so never leave your sentences incomplete. Courteous. Okay, always be polite. Always be polite when you communicate. Be polite and respectful also. Maybe there is some clash of opinions, right? You have some opinion, and the person you are talking to, he or she has some other opinion. So there may be some clash, but always be respectful. Be flexible enough to accept the views of others if they are right. Right? If you are wrong, then accept it. And if you don't wrong, then I am not telling you to accept, but always be flexible enough to respect the views of others. This is the main point. And be positive always and spread positivity among others. Okay, so these are the things you have to remember while you communicate with some other person officially. If you want to add some other point, you can say. Okay, let me repeat the points again. You can tell me if you have any doubt regarding any point. Concrete, coherent, clarity, consistency, completeness, courteous. Okay, so these are the points. Now we will move on to our next topic, that is types of communication. There are 4 types of communication: verbal communication, non-verbal communication, written communication, and visual communication. Verbal communication is when we communicate verbally, that is interviews, conversations, calls, right? We communicate verbally. Again, verbal communication is divided into 2 categories: intrapersonal and interpersonal. Intrapersonal, that is conversations with ourselves. Interpersonal, that is one-on-one conversation. And small group meeting and public also. Small group meeting, that is press conferences, board meetings, team meeting. And public communication, that is presentation. You have to give presentation in front of your audience. So it is in public communication. It is a public communication. And public speeches also. Non-verbal communication is when we communicate non-verbally, that is facial expressions, body postures, voice tone. Written communication, and that is letters, reports, memos. Visual communication via charts, images, graphs, maps. Okay. We will discuss in detail about non-verbal communication in our next class. Verbal communication we have discussed, yet to discuss some other points, but non-verbal communication is very important. when you will go for interviews. So we need a class on that topic, non-verbal communication. Okay. Now we will discuss about right. There are 27 participants. All of you can tell me if you have any doubt. Okay. So now we will discuss about effective team communication. And after finishing discussion, I will also ask you some questions. So listen to me carefully. Effective team communication. Suppose you are a team leader. So how can you manage your responsibilities? If you are a team leader, then you will have so many responsibilities and you have to fulfill all the responsibilities. Then how can you manage all the things? So we will discuss about some tips. At first, give your whole attention. Yes, you have to give your whole attention while you are communicating with the other members in your team. Right? Always maintain eye contact and you should have proper body posture. Right? You can give attention to them individually. What they want to speak, you should listen to them. Inform and inspire. As a team leader, you have to inspire the other team members, you have to motivate the other team members, right? And you have to inform them about the actions you are going to take, right? About the decisions you are going to take. You have to inform them, you have to update them, and you at the same time you have to motivate and inspire them also. Practice active listening. Yes. Always try to be a good listener at first. If you want to be a good speaker, then at first you have to be a good listener. Always listen to the other person first. Think carefully what they want to speak. Listen to them very carefully. Then you show your reactions. Then you should start speaking. Okay, so before speaking, always listen to others. Be a good listener at first. The more you listen well, the better you receive the information. The next one is don't beat around the bush. Okay. This is an idiomatic expression. It means you should be brief, to the point. Don't give a very long speech to your team members. No, always be precise, to the point. Right? You should not speak, so many other things not relevant to your topic. Always be brief and to the point. And always convey the vital points, the vital message. this is what meant by don't beat around the bush. That is, be brief. Okay, it is an idiomatic expression. Okay, personal skills. A team leader always should have some personal skills which makes him or her different from the other members, right? Because he or she is a team leader, so he or she should have some extra personal skills, right? Which can make him or her different from the other team members. The team leader should be confident. The team leader should have high self-esteem. He or she should have the skill to communicate effectively. He or she, that is the team leader should have positivity. The team leader should have the ability to take proper decisions. The team leader should have the ability to cooperate. So these are the personal skills team leaders should have.